was in July in the Oakland Coliseum. It was that freezing cold. Nobody is old enough to have been there. Is it just me, Mr. Healy, the two of us? Does it just come down to us? Then you were there. We were students. We were students. Okay, we were students. We were students. I'm not. We were students. We were not that old, but we were there. On the steps, freezing cold. My father, being a former member of Congress, had great seats at the, not too far from where the president was, and so we used his tickets and went there. Anyway, President Kennedy gave this incredible speech. You know the ending. God's work will truly be our own. It was the most beautiful speech. But in the speech, and this reminds me of Obama and his trip overseas, in his speech, you all know, because you've read it in the history books, that President Kennedy said to the citizens of America, ask not what our country can do for you, but what you can do for our country. Everybody remembers that, right? We don't remember it, but you read about it, right? But do you remember, do you know, that the very next line in the speech, very next line, and I always remember this, the very next line, President Kennedy said, to the citizens of the world, ask not what America can do for you, but what we can do working together for the freedom of mankind. I add kind, but it was freedom of man in those days. And this should be a clarion call, what we can do working together for freedom, about cooperation, collaboration, and respect for each other, not condescension, disrespect, my way or the highway. And so this tour that Senator Obama took about extending the hand of friendship, which was embraced by the people of the countries he visited, is very important in terms of America, reassuming its leadership role in the world. And when I saw him there, it reminded me, not because he had been to Germany or anything like that, it reminded me of what President Kennedy said at that time. So this is about something much loftier than the silliness of whatever that commercial is. I really haven't seen it myself. It's not about that. It's about who we are as a nation and how we lift the country up, and that debate should be worthy of the office of President of the United States. Now, having said that, I think it's a very urgent election. Every time you hear people say this election is more important than any other election, this is a very important election. Close your ears, Justice Breyer. Nothing less is at stake than the planet, the economy, housing, energy policy, the deficit, the budget, the Constitution of the United States. I'll tell you what we intend to do when we win. But this is a very important election. So what would you want to do if you were on the wrong end of all of those things? You would want to change the subject. You want to talk about silliness of movie stars or whatever it is that was in that commercial. You don't want anybody talking about the issues. You want to talk about drilling offshore in protected areas instead of a real energy policy that takes our country into the next generation, a new economy where we can invest in renewable energy resources, wind, solar, biofuels, and the rest. But if we say the answer is drilling offshore in protected areas, then we are changing the subject from where the answer really is.